Welcome, 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 everybody. How's it going? If you weren't in the show this morning on the Crime Lines and Lies channel, then go check it out. Wiz said, great intro. Kamari said, love the sloth. Well, I'm kind of like a sloth. A lot going on. This is our very first live on this channel. This is crazy. The very first live I ever did, period. Just straight up was like 5 people. For a while during the show, it was myself and just me. I don't mean just me, I mean Susan in here, talking back and forth. That was it. Remember those days, just me? We're going back in time, my friend. We're going back in time. As you guys know, I am becoming more and more and more pissed at this whole situation. Oh, I got Mercy backstage. Mercy, give me just a second. I got to go on my rant, and then we're gonna hit it, my friend. This happened February 3rd. February 3rd. No, don't disconnect, Mercy me. I'll bring you up in just a second. Don't lose the connection. February 3rd. Now, mind you, we had a lot of stuff going on. I was talking about the Super Bowl like every 2 seconds. Had all of a sudden UFOs and a China balloon. That was all kinds of fun. And we've learned that when they tell us to look one way, we know there's something else going on. Everybody blames it on Epstein. They always think there's something going on with Epstein. Usually is. Then we find out this is going on. Our own people got nuked. This is a catastrophe. Their great-grandchildren will not dig out of this. There's no way. There is no way. This is going to affect generations. And the most they're throwing out right now, I have an article from The Guardian that came out a few hours ago, is $1.2 million to divide amongst like 900 families. That's like me finding 28 cents in my couch. This is ridiculous, you guys. This misleading. And get ready. Next, it's going to be, they're going to stir something up amongst the Americans. Get ready. I'm going to go through these comments. I'm going to bring up Mercy. We have a lot of local people in our community. You wouldn't believe some of the pictures, comments, emails I'm being sent. If you weren't mad before, you're going to get real pissed. All right. Stuck in Bama, said Brooks. This is political propaganda at its finest. At first, I was like, all right, right on. Then Stuck in Bama says, have you noticed that this is the most diverse administration we have ever had? They have got this, and you are spreading misinformation. GTFO. What are you talking about, Stuck in Bama? For one, I'm no detective, but I'm going to assume you're from Alabama. Do you want to be stuck in East Ohio? You idiot. What does a diverse administration have to do with anything? Well, then the entire diverse administration can get on each side of the table and figure out what to do in East Ohio. There is no misinformation on this channel because I'm telling you guys what our own people, our own friends, our own friends, people we know are going through. You've got to be kidding me. You think I'm going to tell Sonia, who left a comment, that she's imagining things? They're already trying to tell people that this isn't really going on. Got to be kidding me. Stuck in Bama? Get real. Sweet Melissa said people better be looking at where their food is coming from. Word. Word. Where are the manufacturers located? Exactly. We're going to have to look at everything. Lacey, welcome to the channel. Lacey said there's a Facebook group that a lot of them are a part of who said they were offered $1,000 and were asked to sign that basically to say they've settled so they can't do anything. I heard about this over the weekend. Actually, I heard about it on Friday afternoon. They're going door to door, door to door. So while people are unpacking their bottled water, those that chose to go home, and they're scrubbing everything down with Dawn that they had to pay for because they were told that's the way to get the phosgene off of their belongings. Here you go. Open the door. Hello? Hi, I'm with Norfolk Southern, and we heard about what happened here. And we want to help you guys through these hard times. Oh, thank God you're here because you guys haven't shown up to any of the community meetings. Oh, we're here. Don't worry, we're here. Now, what can we do? I know you've got some out-of-pocket expenses. Yeah, because I couldn't make it to the hotel that you guys have put us up at. It was booked up, so I had to go to another hotel. All right, let me get straight with you. Let me figure something out. Let me write you a check. What do you think you're out right now? Oh, I don't know. Well, does $1,200 sound good? Oh, that would definitely help. All right, go ahead and sign this. And we're here for you. We're not leaving until this is cleaned up. Oh, thank you, Norfolk Southern. Boom, gone. You know what that's called? A quick settlement. $1,200. $1,200. So for the next year, you got $100. What are you going to do about that cancer that's going to pop up in 7 years? Ava said, yep, $1,000 for your troubles, but you got to sacrifice your future rights. Disgusting. Sonia Allen, our very good friend, said, Brooks, the other day, my husband and his son were having lunch at a restaurant down the street from our house. This place was packed with railroad inspectors. It was unusually packed, so Joe, that's her husband, asked them who they were and what they were doing there. She said, our town has railroads all through it, so apparently there is more concern than what is being portrayed out in the media. She lives, I'm not going to give away where Sonia lives. I'd say she lives about, I'll just say 100 miles away from East Palestine. Mary P. said, to the best of my knowledge, one thing a governor must do is invite FEMA in to help. Now, Governor DeWine did, but not very fast. It's very strange what's going on here. I know all about FEMA because I live in Oklahoma, and we are used to seeing FEMA around here because we get hit with tornadoes quite a bit. She said states have individual rights and the federal government is not allowed to invade without invitation. In order for FEMA, a federal agency, to get involved, a state must first declare an emergency, and I don't believe Governor DeWine has done so. She said, unless I'm mistaken, DeWine knows this and is lying by misleading and omission when he states the agency continues to advise that Ohio is not eligible for assistance at this time. Apparently does not meet the eligibility threshold. Has the state of Ohio hasn't declared an official state of emergency. You have to declare a state of emergency to get them. She dropped a link and I read it all, and what she said was 100% right. She said, ultimately, the responsibility lands with the company, but the public can't wait years for the company to do the right thing. Now, lawsuits are already being filed. Lawsuits are being filed left and right. Aaron Brockovich is there, the whole 9 yards. You know as well as I do, these lawsuits are going to take forever and a day to settle. They don't know what illnesses people might have. Some people don't want to stay, so they have to figure out what their house is worth. Like I said on Saturday, we were talking, would you want to buy a house in Chernobyl, Ohio right now? Nope. Nope. Mooney lives north of East Palestine, said, listen, I don't care what they say. We are not getting any help here. They're telling us to wash with Dawn and buy bottled water, and that's not going to make this go away. Mooney said, getting around the water problem is impossible enough, but it's in the ground, for fuck's sake. It's in the air. How can anyone be patient and say they have this under control? I hope Stuck in Bama heard Mooney's comment. Mooney lives there. Mooney's like, no, it's in our water. One of our most basic needs is water. I haven't even gotten to air yet. It's something we don't even think about. You just turn on the faucet, grab a cup, wash your hands off. You don't even think about it. But when you flush the toilet and nothing happens, you know you're in a panic. And they're being told, all's good. Scrub it with Dawn and get some bottled water. Are you going to wash your clothes in bottled water? Are you going to shower in bottled water? Would you take a shower in this? This is crazy. This is crazy. I don't even know what to say. We haven't even gotten to the soil penetration because they don't know. They don't know. There are some environmentalists, and I mean the environmentalists that care about people, not the ones that are just trying to put this behind everything, behind everyone. I mean the ones that know. The ones that know are saying this is dangerous. Don't let them tell you because they have one sample saying it's all good. Do not believe that. They explained on one show, they said to get an accurate reading, they need at least 45 days of testing. This happened February 3rd. Let's look at this is what it looked like the day after. Hang on. All right, so she just put a stick in the water and there was a rainbow. That's the day after. 2 days after is when all the dead fish are coming to the top. We heard a story about a hiker going through just trying to figure out exactly how bad it looks. Dead raccoon everywhere. One lady went outside, she had a chicken coop, all the chickens are dead.
I just want to say that smell is noxious after moving those rocks a little bit. It's disgusting. Burnt plastic, chemical, awful, awful.
I keep hearing that the smell is just horrible. That the smell, they're talking about burnt plastic. People have skin rashes. Um, one guy had blisters on the side of his neck. Those are chemical burns in the air. Mary P said, if you can smell it, you should assume it's dangerous. Imagine the lining of your lungs having to inhale that. Steph lives in Dayton, Ohio. She said, we hear nothing about this locally. I'm going to tell you why, Steph. I'm going to tell you why. That's the path of the Ohio River. It's in the river. It's floating that way. They don't want anyone to hear about this. They don't want anyone to hear about this at all. It's horrible. Let's bring up Mercy, and then we have some more stuff to go through. Hi, Mercy. Welcome.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, how are you holding up there?
I'm okay at the moment. I have to keep it's weird. It's like living in an apocalypse movie where you go online and you're seeing all the horrible things happening so close to where you are, and then you get off your phone and you look outside and no one around you even knows about this.
Well,
Or
don't tell Stuck in Bama that, because Stuck in Bama said, Brooks, have you noticed this is the most diverse administration we've ever had? They've got this and you're spreading misinformation. But you're saying it's like apocalypse now there.
well, not where I am, like down where it happened in East Palestine. And that is how you pronounce it, by the way. Palestine, not Palestine.
I've been saying it two different ways.
You know what? I'm from Ohio, and I always said it Palestine. But when I started hearing news media saying Palestine, I'm like, well, maybe I'm wrong. No, I'm from Ohio. I was right. It's Palestine. So down there, it's apocalypse now. An hour and a half away. I live 92 miles away, northwest in the greater Cleveland area. And up here, I didn't even hear about this until a week after it happened. And I learned about it.
Be in your own state.
Well, I, number one, am not a news watcher. I don't sit down and watch the news. I get my news from, I would say, social media. If I jump on TikTok, if I jump on YouTube, if I jump on Facebook, if something major in the world is going on, that's how it gets to me. No one was saying anything, and so I didn't hear about it until I happened to open TikTok. I think it was this past Tuesday, so almost a week ago, and like a week after it happened, right? So I'm hearing about it a week late. I'm hearing about it from social media. And at this point, TikTok is turning more into citizen journalism than it is social media. But that's where I heard about it. And being up in the Cleveland area, initially what we were saying, I think everybody else up here thought, oh, we're in the clear. We're below the water table. We're not affected by the down river contamination issue. We're fine. We're fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got sick. And so then I started looking into things more. And I do believe Cleveland was exposed during the burn off, and we weren't told.
So was Western Pennsylvania, and they're being told that one has nothing to do with the other. You're telling me everyone has these same symptoms, but what are you going to call it? Of course.
That's it's such a mind game, especially being this far away, and us being told that our water comes from Lake Erie. We're fine. We're fine. Well, if it's true that Cleveland was exposed during the burn off, and I have seen a map, someone recorded the burn off pattern, and everyone says, oh, it shouldn't have gotten Cleveland. wind moves west to east, right? When you watch the burn off, the particles, the wind shifted and for hours was pointed right in our direction. And so that's scary. I didn't learn that until after I got sick. So my timeline is I learned about this on Tuesday, a week after it happened. Um,
In your own state.
in my own state, an hour and a half ish away.
Now,
Um,
let me ask you something. Do you
yeah.
think, okay, do you think there should have been some sort of like on our cell phones, we get amber alerts, silver.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know here, if a tornado is on the way, it will pop up on your phone and it'll be like,
Yeah.
get shelter. Do you think maybe something like that should have popped up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what, because I learned about it again a week after the fact. So, what they did down there locally, I have no idea. I've heard stories of people, being told, you can't take your animals, get out now, or we'll arrest you. I mean, it was a hostile situation down there. Up here, it's like nothing happened and something should have happened. We should have been alerted somehow that there is a huge chemical burn off happening this close, but we weren't.
Not just any chemical. We're not we're This is a totally different chemical. This is what's in the air is what our military uses to kill the other militaries.
Mm-hmm. I know. And so I learned about this, like I said, on Tuesday, and looking what I could see, I'm going, okay, we're away from the wind pattern, we're away from the water flow, we're fine, we're fine. That's why I didn't hear about this. And then Wednesday night, I'm sitting in my room and I'm an insomniac. So I was up late at night and it was about 1-ish in the morning, I think. And I had my front bedroom windows cracked open and I was getting a nice gusty breeze every so often and it felt nice. And then a breeze came in and there was a smell and I ignored it thinking that it was maybe like exhaust even though there was no traffic outside my house. I just brushed it away. And then every time I would get a good wind gust through the windows, that smell kept coming. And I'm like, what is that? What is that? And it was a head game because I kept saying, you just learned about a chemical spill that happened a week ago. This is your imagination. But it got to the point where I finally, after like an hour of this, I got up, shut my windows, and I put a mask on because I was feeling sick. And I'm sitting in my bedroom with a mask on, feeling completely ridiculous because I'm like, this can't possibly be affecting me. So through the night, I got more and more sick. A headache, unlike headaches that I normally get, um, vomiting, a lot of vomiting. When I had first arrived home, I don't leave my house a lot because I'm disabled, but my sister had taken me on an errand outside. And during that, and when I got home, I had been rubbing my eyes like crazy and I didn't know why. So now that I'm home and I'm getting sick, I'm starting to add all this up. And so I'm vomiting, headache. I had a weird taste in my mouth. By the next morning, my throat was sore and the right gland in my throat was swollen. And I had a surgical follow up for a minor surgery I had a month ago scheduled for the next morning. And I had to call my doctor and say, I am so sick. This is what happened. I feel crazy. Has anyone else reported stuff like this? And without hesitation, I mean, this is the scary thing. Without hesitation, she said, yes, you are not the only one. We are treating people for things like this. It is a cover up. Do not let them gaslight you.
Where is this is I'm glad they told you that, by the way. I'm glad they told you that because these people that are taking this $600, $700, $800, $1,200, I don't think the railroad understands. They have more to worry about than just East Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
Where is Marietta, Ohio? How in project? I mean,
Marietta South, that's further down. That's like a river town. I've been there, but it's not, it's about 3 hours from me.
Okay, because they're being affected by it too. They have an outbreak. People, they can't control their bowels.
Okay. See, if I am, it's so hard trying to sift through the information that's out there. And I know it sounds irresponsible sourcing, but TikTok is honestly where the people on the ground are. And
Mhm.
so I'm trying to follow what they are saying. And like I said, if Cleveland got exposed during the burn off, like I believe that map showed, our exposure was like over a week ago. Like it's said and done. It's in our air, it'll be in our water system, it'll be in our ground, not to the extent that it is down there,
Mhm.
but no one up here even realizes it.
Ava said one local said within 10 minutes of the blow up, they had their other trains passing by. They had pre-set up another track. Shows where their concerns are. Also, I heard how fast it took them to repair the track. It was like nothing. Angelina says what Stuck in Bama is saying, you can blame the current administration alone. There are others. I think what we're focused on right now is the current crisis at hand and how it's being handled by the people that are in control. Now, what led up to it? Decades and decades and decades and decades of railroad lobbying. We can get to that later. We know what happened there. It's been going on forever. But we're talking about the matter at hand right now and the people that are in charge and how they are dealing with it. You've got people that can't control their bowels, can't swallow, they've got chemical burns. So, whoever did whatever back in 1999, that's not the argument we're going to have right now.
Yeah. I even, started thinking, well, I have never had COVID. And so I even started thinking, well, what if this is COVID? And I took 2 COVID tests. They both came up negative. And I was like, okay. And then literally the next day, I saw something saying they're going to start blaming people's symptoms on COVID because we are still in a current pandemic. And so take your COVID test, prove that your symptoms are not COVID. You need to document everything. And another problem that I'm seeing is because this happened in Ohio, people don't care. I guess I didn't realize the rest of the country didn't like us, but apparently we're a joke.
Oh, I don't know who said that. That's not
pe-
true.
pe-
People are
pe-
coming unglued. People are like, are you kidding me?
these are TikTok comments. I'm seeing people saying, like, who cares? It's Ohio, things like that. Another problem is the town that this happened is heavily Trump supporting. They are a red area. And so you have people who are saying, well, they're deserving what they're getting. And I
That's
am not I am not a Trump supporter. I am the opposite. I don't care. I don't care whose administration did what when. Fix this now.
yeah.
People around the country need to be opening their homes to Ohio refugees because these people cannot live there. They can't. And they're being told by everybody, well, just get up and leave.
That is such a stupid thing to say. People cannot, I mean, unless you are extremely, extremely well off. If somebody told me right now, well, just pack up and leave, well, where
Mm-hmm.
am I going to go?
I was barely able to buy myself some bottled water for me and my pets. I'm so low income and I live so far away and I'm just being precautionary. What about the people down there? Like
They're not even providing water as
they're
of
not
this morning.
they're not they're not. And it's literally, when I heard about it on Tuesday, my first thought was, how can I help? Being where I am, I'm close enough, I can help. And I can't afford to donate water bottled, but I was literally thinking, can I somehow give them my clean tap water from a clean source? And then I literally learned my water's probably tainted too. I don't know. It's just, no one's telling anybody what to do or how to help. And I guess my biggest cry is, East Palestine needs this country's help. It does not matter. Politics, people's lives are not politics. Leave that out of this.
And unfortunately, they're going to have to depend on their political leaders or nothing will get done, because the people at Norfolk Southern, the town of East Palestine, if that's all we're talking about, that's nothing to them. That is nothing.
Yeah.
That is nothing. That is bubblegum money for them. That's nothing. That's nothing. They would just assume buy it up, call it farmland, and go back to business as usual. But as far as helping people with medical needs, future medical needs, getting them out of their homes into new homes or whatever they decide to do, that's a different story. And unfortunately, in order to navigate that, then they're going to have to deal with these politicians. I absolutely, I'm very impressed by the senator in your state, JD Vance, when he threw down on, I don't even know what station it was.
Was it the Aaron Brockovich moment with the water?
I think that's what it was. He was like, well, then you come here and drink the water.
Yeah. That's
then
what I call, yeah.
Then you come here and drink it. But this goes back a long ways. And I mean, not that long ago, because this came out in the Guardian this morning. The Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown had harsh criticism on Sunday for
Sherrod Brown.
Okay, for harsh criticism on Sunday for corporate lobbyists and Norfolk Southern, the Atlanta-based operator of the train that derailed 2 weeks ago while carrying toxic chemicals. Corporations do stock buybacks. They do big dividend checks. Put my glasses on. They lay off workers. Thousands of workers have been laid off from Norfolk Southern, and I mean thousands. It's not COVID either. A lot of these companies use that COVID bullshit as an excuse. Oh, we just can't build back from COVID. Meanwhile, their stocks have gone through the roof. They're just not going to give them their jobs back. They figured out other stuff to do while people were taking their COVID unemployment. They know that corporate lobbyists have had far too much influence in our government, and they see this as the result. These things are happening because these railroads are simply not investing the way they should in car safety and in the rail lines themselves. 100% correct. On the show on Saturday, I had an entire graphic up, and it went back to 1998. The amount of money lobbied to our congressmen, our senators, every single year. Every single year. It's gone on for decades. This was bound to happen. When your money is going to grease the senator as opposed to keeping things safe, this was bound to happen. It's ridiculous. And now we have Chernobyl, Ohio.
And, you know, another thing I want to make sure I mention is that it's almost like information is being suppressed, and it's enough to make you crazy. Because when I was getting sick that night, the night of Wednesday to Thursday, I even went to Facebook and I just typed in things like smell and air in Cleveland to see if anyone else was saying anything. And for a little while, I was getting results and I was taking screenshots. And then out of nowhere, any search related to that topic was blocked, saying I didn't have access, I didn't have a connection. But if I searched for cute kitty pictures, that came right up. But anything having to do with smell and air Cleveland, chemical and air Cleveland, chemicals and water Cleveland, all of a sudden blocked out. Couldn't see it.
Facebook will warn you. Facebook will warn you. If you try to share an article, it will get their your fact checkers out of you.
I had somebody else reported that to me today as well. I wasn't sure what they were talking about, but they said I was posting a news article from a national news source and they came after me with fact checkers.
Well, there's no covering it up anymore because it's everywhere. It doesn't take too long with social media. The problem is between February 3rd and when all hell broke loose across the country and people are losing their minds now. People are
Well,
losing their minds now. They're so mad.
here's something interesting. I did a post last night at about midnight. I
Hold on
posted
one
it.
second. I need to address something. Angelina,
Sure.
what is not true? Angelina, what's not true? She lives there, hun. So what are you saying isn't true? I know you've got really strong opinions about this, but what are you saying isn't true? Angelina said, please don't say that. Angelina, this is a horrible thing going on there. What are you saying isn't true? And there's not anything on this channel I'm not going to say. So what are you saying not to say and isn't true? She said, listen, that's not true. All that needs to stop. What is not true, Angelina? Do you live there? This story isn't going to get buried. So it's already spread into Pennsylvania. They're getting sick over there. Go ahead, Mercy. I didn't mean to cut you
Oh
off.
no. So I posted a TikTok last night, um, just about my experience a few days ago about Facebook blocking out my searches, and I posted it. And I am not a TikToker normally. Like I've posted like a couple things here and there, and this particular video within an hour had 200 views, and I went, oh wow. Like, I mean, every time I refreshed it, it was more and more. I'm like, wow, this might actually get spread. And then I went to bed, and as of this morning, I mean, it was done. Like, it barely moved from
Now, I will
200.
say you can do whatever you want to do. I wouldn't rely on TikTok for anything. That's just me though.
Up until this point, from what I've learned, it's literally to get the real information. Now it's becoming oversaturated with a bunch of crap. But up until about a week ago, it was TikTok covering everything, and then news sources finally picking up the story using TikTok information, but they were using old information. So it was TikTok and other social media that finally started pushing news stations to cover this.
Well, there was news stations trying to cover it, and one guy got arrested.
Yep.
And here's what makes me mad. News stations are one thing. Like, I can tell, like, the local news has been covering it. They have been. I know you don't watch the news because I went back to February 3rd. I mean, the local news stations are covering it. Here's the problem. For the rest of us to know and know what's going on in Ohio, the Today Show, they said, an unfortunate train derailment in eastern Ohio. Well, no one's going to think anything about that.
Exactly.
Trains derail. We're like, we don't. What they forgot to mention, Hoda and Savannah, Oprah's best friend Gail, David Muir on ABC News, Nightly News. What they forgot to mention was it was a catastrophe. There's fish floating to the top of the creek and a mushroom cloud hanging over the east side of the state. They forgot to mention that part. They also forgot to mention that a controlled chemical burn, which produces phosgene, was being allowed out into the air. Look at this clip with me right now. These are Western Pennsylvania residents. Like I said, there's no hiding this now. No, it's out. Everyone knows, and they're pissed.
Everybody is scared. Yeah, you always like the feeling that you're safe in your home and in your environment, but those things come along and it's frightening.
Concerns over the fallout of the East Palestine train derailment now flowing over the border into Pennsylvania. Proactive steps are being taken in counties bordering East Palestine to test the air and water quality of those areas. But residents still say they are nervous despite many of those tests coming back clean. Officials and communities are still on high alert 2 weeks after a train derailed, spilling toxic chemicals into the air, water, and ground. Many towns in Butler and Beaver counties are monitoring its water supply, which is taken from the Ohio River. Residents who live just miles away from the site say while they're glad testing is being done, they're still worried about what they could be breathing in.
I'm glad they're testing, but it's always scary when you don't know how far it's gone.
They're saying it's coming east And I'm a little concerned about that being asthmatic. And my son, who lives in DuBois, said, Mom, you need to stay in the house.
Here in Allegheny County, the health department says they're testing the air quality. They say their monitors can detect pollutants like vinyl chloride, a chemical on the train when it derailed. So far, authorities say there have been no air quality changes and believe emissions from the derailment would disperse before reaching the county.
Yeah. And I saw something today that, the people down there that are being offered the pittance of assistance that they're, being given, it's really messed up because they're using things like zip codes and all that to make borders as to who gets help and who doesn't. And there's a woman down there saying, technically, I don't fall into that zip code, but my kids go to that school. We pay taxes there, but they're not helping us because we live a mile over some imaginary line. And they live closer to what I call ground zero than some of the other people that are getting assistance. So it's just a mess.
And I don't even know what assistance they're talking about. The lack of assistance is the problem. They're not even being offered bottled water. I think what this railroad is doing is, and also the fact that FEMA isn't there yet, and it's not anyone. I'm not even going to touch that one right now.
They're doing things too, like they'll come to people's houses and say, "Oh, we're here to test your water," and all that, and the people are like, "Great," but then to get results, they have to sign some piece of paper, like and I don't know honestly if it's an NDA or another settlement type of thing, but I'm hearing reports of they are offering to test people's water to make them feel better about going home, but to get results, they have to sign papers.
And here's the problem: when they don't even give you enough time, or they're calling people on the phone, and how they're getting these phone numbers is what I'd want to know. How the hell are they getting their phone numbers? Because they're calling them saying, well, we tested this or we tested that, so you should be okay to go home.
Yeah, and it's not. I mean, literally when you see the people down there, their skin is blistering. There are people being treated for chemical burns in their lungs. It's just, that town is forever unlivable, and those people are being told things like, throw away all of your bedding and anything that can be permeable because it will never come out. So they're having to throw away everything they own. They can't sell their houses because they're worth nothing.
They're worth nothing now.
Their animals are. It's agriculture down there. Their livestock is dying. And a point you wanted to make about where things come from. One of the biggest grocery retailers in Ohio is a company called Giant Eagle. And if you go to Giant Eagle and look at the jugs of their bottled spring water, it's produced in the same county where this happened. So that's concerning. Ohio's agriculture goes all over the place. The food you eat all over the country, we grow here. We grow grain that is fed to livestock. You're eating that livestock down the road. This is a catastrophe that will affect the majority of the country at some point. And
some point, just like in the last segment we listened to. Now, obviously, the Ohio River isn't going to go into reverse and go into Pennsylvania, but you can see which way it flows. There's no way it's not going to affect these communities.
Also, a lot of pet food is produced in that area, so people need to start looking into that.
And like this gentleman was saying on the news the other night, listen to this. He said, they've been nuked. Listen to this.
Some experience with the chemistry to really know that. Sil Caggiano is an expert in this. He's a hazardous waste authority. He says the town of East Palestine has effectively been nuked. He joins us tonight to explain what that means. Sil, I appreciate your coming on. How do you, having spent your life assessing things like chemical spills. How do you assess the condition of East Palestine tonight?
It's very troublesome. These poor individuals, through no fault of their own, became victims of systemic failures within the rail transportation system, and it manifested itself in this mushroom cloud that they had to experience in their town. One of the reasons why I made the comment about we nuked a town with chemicals is because there was somebody from Darlington, Pennsylvania, who was videoing the cloud that had went over his property, and you could see fallout coming out of the cloud going onto his property. And I'm looking at it and I'm saying, it reminds you of one of those apocalyptic shows where the nuclear fallout's coming out. And I thought about it. I says, well, yeah, we basically did nuke a whole town just to get a railroad going, back in service. And earlier on, I got involved in this because news media were not being told the truth. Days into this, no, train consist was available. They didn't know what they had. And that flies in the face of logic. If you're going to mitigate a problem, if you're going to have your fire department and other responding teams take care of it, you should know what the heck you've got. And it got to the point where they were showing me pictures of train cars, the local media, and I was identifying what was in based on UNID numbers or train car numbers. And when they told me their plan, at that point you had a few cars burning. They had unmonitored hand lines there keeping the tankers cool. And then I find out that they're pulling the unmonitored hand lines, keeping the tankers cool. And so that's just going to cause the tanker cars to heat up, which they did. And then they announced that one was very near catastrophic failure. And I said, well, if they don't put water back on it, it's going to continue to heat up, and it's going to what's called a blevy, and it's going to damage other containers. And then I was told, no, they're going to detonate all these cars so that that doesn't happen. I could tell you, Mr. Carlson, I've been looking at rail incidents over and over because in Youngstown, Ohio, there's 3 rail lines that run through our town. So as a chief and as a instructor, I trained my guys to anticipate stuff. And I would go case study after case study after case study, coming up with different scenarios just to keep it going. And I've never once in 39 years ever heard of them blowing up train cars, right, dumping all the chemicals into a trench and lighting them on fire. I was dumbfounded. Yeah. And, when you lit this stuff on fire, you were creating phosgenes, you were creating hydrogen chlorides, you created this plume, and up in this plume was all the incomplete combustion products of everything that was there. Stuff, if you looked at the guy's video, stuff is precipitating down into people's property. There's a lot of questions, and the answers came slow. And, first you get, well, now we found vinyl chlorides in the water. Well, yeah, no joke. You're going to find that, and it seemed like everything was drips and dribbles. Instead of, one of the things I learned is you tell the truth, you tell it all, you tell it first, and you tell them how you're going to solve the problem. And none of that was forthcoming. And I began to worry about, what the end result with this was going to be. They had evacuated 1 mile, and I was telling the media they better do like 1.5, 2 miles. Well, subsequently after that, they went to 2 miles. And then within a few minutes, a few days, they were bringing everybody back. And that was pretty much just in time to open up the rails, and there was no testing. There's got to be some plan going forward in this cleanup and recovery to test.
Yeah. I mean, if you find asbestos in your building, you contain and remove it. You don't blow it into the next county. It just seems self-evidently insane. Sil, I appreciate your coming on tonight. That was really...
Tucker Carlson's about to lose his shit. Telling you what, I mean... I haven't seen him this excited since the whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing. But anyway, he's not going to get enough of this. I tell you what, that's one thing. Don't worry about a cover up, because there's enough people out there that absolutely hate the lobbyists they're like a dog with a bone. They're not going to leave this alone. Speaking of a dog with a bone, here's part of the problem. Owned by BlackRock. BlackRock is very intertwined with Norfolk Southern. Let's look at everything that they own or are part owners in. I think we see a lot of our problem. Fox News obviously isn't a problem because they're not going to shut up. They are not going to stop with this. Pfizer, Amazon, Microsoft, Dow. Dow's a huge chemical company. Exxon, 3M is a huge chemical company. Facebook, what do you know? Walmart. You guys know how bad I hate Walmart. I hate Walmart. I would chew my own arm off before I went and bought a block of cheese at Walmart. Charter Communications, Boeing, Raytheon. This is a little bit of it. This is a little bit of it. So when these people in East Palestine, when they say, oh, well, our senator's all over it, this, what you're looking at on the screen, is a million times bigger than your senator. It's a million times bigger than your state. That's the problem. That's the problem. Merck, don't get me going on Merck. That's a big part of your problem. Now we have another problem. The CDC updated their toxicological profile for vinyl chloride 11 days before the disaster in Ohio. This is not just a tweet. You can look it up yourself. Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
Yeah, when you start getting into the conspiracy and everything behind all this, it's literally enough that it makes you sick.
You can just look it up yourself. If I can't look it up myself, I'm not going to tell you to look it up. I can tell you that for sure. Pfizer, exactly. Thank you, Plant Diva. This whole thing is so disgusting. It is so disgusting. And it can happen to anybody.
Oh yeah, my little town, I live, like I said, in the greater Cleveland area, and I'm on the outer belt of that. So I'm right at a point where it goes from being like suburban and urban and to rural, okay? And my town is about the same size, same political makeup, everything as East Palestine. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, it is literally like someone could drop a bomb on my house and no one would care. It seems like nobody cares. Now people are starting to care, but it's taken this long because it's taken this long for the news to get out as to how big of a deal this really is.
It's a huge deal. And if I was in Ohio right now and I had any time in my day, I would probably look around at how much money has been given to the Ukraine recently. Because it's way more money than Ohio's ever going to see for this.
And I support the Ukraine. I support people who are taking in Ukrainian refugees. What I'm not seeing, and now I will say, I am a bleeding heart liberal. I am the kind of person that I see someone, on the side of the road in an accident, I pull over and I do whatever I can to help them. So that's me. I'm sitting here on the fringes of this, looking around at nobody helping and going, 9/11, the whole country banded together because we realized it was more than just New York. It was all of us that had been attacked.
Who is not reaching out to you guys? Because once this hit, from my vantage point, people went nuts. I'm a bleeding heart American. I will not have a label. You're not going to call me a conservative or a
okay. That's fair. I mean, I just refer to myself.
I'm very conservative with my money, but I'm very liberal with my heart. So that's how I call it.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, when we found out about this, just in my household, we said, what can we do? That's the reason. I mean, I know our small community right here, anywhere that we can send water, we're doing it. This is nationwide.
Good.
We're not doing it up in Cleveland, then I don't know. But I mean, and people aren't going to go to East Palestine because it's dangerous. Just like go to Ground Zero in New York City. It's dangerous.
Well, and look at Ground Zero. They told New Yorkers it was safe to go back you know, how soon, and there was no cleanup. There were dust and chemicals all over everything, and people are now getting sick from that. And this is going to be the exact same thing. So I'm glad to hear that, you know, you're hearing that there are people now helping. Where I'm sitting right before this live, I wanted just to catch up today and say, what is my local news reporting? And I went on cleveland.com. And on their top stories, I had to scroll down to find anything about East Palestine. And it was literally an article about how to correctly pronounce the name and other towns in Ohio that have hard to pronounce names. That was it.
How weird. Because I'm pulling up my news right now and I'm in Tulsa. Okay. I'm outside of Tulsa and I can just put in Ohio. And it said an hour ago, Ohio to open a clinic amid growing health concerns over train derailment. It says how the toxic Ohio train derailment unfolded. That was 2 hours ago. 8 hours ago, it says East Palestine train derailment. Pennsylvania's still forgotten. I mean, I've got tons of news coming on my end.
And you know what, though? Thank God. Thank God, because that's only happening in the last how many days? This happened 2 weeks ago. I mean, that's the thing. It's like news is just now reaching people, and people are like behind. They're like, well, we're already exposed. What do we do? It's the information is coming way too late. And I don't know, up here, it's like nothing has happened.
Okay, just Chrissy said, I'm in Boston and not much reporting here. That's horrible. That's horrible. The more you Google it, the more they're going to have to give it to you. I'm telling you, if you just put in Ohio train derailment, fuck Facebook and TikTok. Go to Google, put in Ohio train derailment. The more you do it, the more they're going to have to give it to you.
Good.
Because they love their advertising. Lake Erie said, I stay in Erie and they're not saying anything. I tell you what, it makes me so mad.
That's my area. That's my area, Lake Erie. We're on the lake. That is our water source.
And here's the thing. We got to stick together. We got to stick together on this. I don't care if I care if you're in Pennsylvania. I care if you're in Ohio. I don't care if you're in the Keys of Florida, West Texas. If we don't stick together on this, it's going to happen anywhere, because if it wasn't for people in East Palestine reaching out to social media and coming unglued and putting their own videos up at town hall meetings, we wouldn't know.
Exactly. Exactly.
No, these people, the people in that town are heroes. Let's look at this real quick. This is where they're talking about, I don't even know what to say about this, about the health risks after the train derailment.
This collection of jars and vials in Akron, Ohio, may hold the answer to what is safe to drink for hundreds of thousands in the coming days and weeks.
We have been working nonstop.
Environmental engineer Mo Osman and his team,
and each one analyzes,
have been testing water from near the Norfolk Southern train derailment in East Palestine.
What are your findings?
Well, the results are kind of still confidential between us and the client. So we are not supposed to discuss the results, with anybody.
But those are the results people are.
Why can't they discuss the results?
And you know, that lab, they said it's in Akron. That's Cleveland area. That's like about an hour from me.
Why can't they discuss the results? I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's the other thing I've been hearing. Oh, we're testing. Where are these results?
Laced and Chain says, I'm in Michigan. People have been buying up all the water everywhere. Where's the results? Personally, I think that the results should be public. I think they should be public. Now, I really worry about the people with their own wells on their property.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, well, if you take a sample and you take it to them, and what are you going to do in the meantime?
Yeah.
What are you going to do in the meantime? Kamari said, what's the secret? What's the secret? And just Chrissy, there you go. It feels like a huge cover up, and it's going generations. Their great grandchildren will deal with this. Lacey, you're so right. They're probably being paid not to release.
Waiting for some East Palestine residents even waiting to get a test.
Nobody's come down on our road and talked with anybody to see if they need their well tested.
Osmond's lab has been contracted by the county where the crash occurred and the one next over to analyze water samples collected from residents' wells. This room right here is where all the samples are brought in, sorted, before they're tested. Complex machinery testing for more than 175 compounds, including the hazardous chemicals on board the derailed train that may be seeping into waterways well beyond the wreck site.
It takes time for pollution to potentially travel from the source of contamination to the individual well.
For those not using well water, Ohio's governor has stressed tests show water in the area is safe.
You do not need to drink bottled water if you are on municipal water.
And new developments on the
Okay, he keeps saying that, and I'm not ragging on Ohio's governor. I don't live there. I'm not saying anything about him. Now, when the Senator Vance, when he said, "You come drink the water."
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you know it's safe? And now this one dude who's standing there in the lab, and he says, "Oh, it takes time for it to penetrate." That's not what the people that aren't getting paid are saying. I've got a problem with that. How can you have people that are coming on Fox News or NBC? I think CBS in the morning finally got off their ass. Oprah's best friend Gail. They're saying something totally different. They're like, no, they're like the type of chemicals they're talking about. Once it's in the soil, it's going to take, oh my God, a long, long time to dig and dig and dig and dig and bring new soil in. Let's listen to this again. This is really important.
Bottled water if you are on municipal water.
And new developments on the ground in East Palestine today.
Why are you here?
Fox News coming across the CEO of Norfolk Southern.
I'm here to support the community.
The rail company confirming to NBC News Alan Shaw is in town meeting with community.
Okay, Sunday night, last night, they had a community meeting. The CEO and the railroad, whoever else was supposed to be with him, stood him up, did not show up.
Members and crews working at the crash site. Also now in East Palestine, representatives from FEMA working with other government agencies, trying to help this community get back to a sense of normal.
And George joins us now live from East Palestine outside a community church where the CEO of Norfolk Southern is right now, George.
Yeah, that's right, Jose. We're told that the CEO of Norfolk Southern is in the building right now, meeting with community members. The mayor of East Palestine telling me that he wants to reaffirm his commitment to the people of this community and is even considering attending a town hall with the residents here. Jose?
You're welcome, Lester. I didn't even think about this till just Chrissy said it. Like I said, everything is so, water is such a basic right that we don't even think about it. Just Chrissy said, want to bet they won't drink it, let alone brush your teeth with it. Imagine brushing your teeth with that water. Getting that in your gums. Ugh. No, not for me. It's horrible. Absolutely horrible. Now, a lot of people have been asking, and yep, she's there. I don't know exactly what Erin Brockovich is going to do, except for shine more of a light on this situation. So let's look at this.
Water. Nearly 3,500 fish have died since this nightmare began. Consumer advocate Erin Brockovich joining us live tonight. Erin, a friend of the show, welcome back. It is good to see you.
Hi, Natasha. It's nice to see you.
And Erin, you and I were in person last week, News Nation, the first network to speak with you about this disaster as you were getting those hundreds of messages from residents who were afraid, who were concerned. What are those residents telling you now?
They are more concerned and more frustrated now than they were in the beginning because there's such an inconsistent messaging coming to them, whether it be from Norfolk Railroad or their state EPA or their state representatives or the federal US EPA. At this point, They don't know who to believe. And at this point, I don't think they're trusting anybody. They're so concerned. They feel like nobody's listening to them. We may know a lot, but there's more we don't know that will still continue to unfold. And these people in this community are almost a pawn in between some political agency, corporate scenario, and they're just left there to fend for themselves at this point.
Erin, do you trust the EPA and the all clear that they gave?
No, I might be the wrong person to ask about that. I've been doing this for 30 years, so I've seen too many things that have slipped by or too many loopholes, but I don't know how anyone can trust them when they're awful late to the game. There was just a real quiet moment on February 3rd when the train derailment happened.
Because they had us chasing the Chinese balloon. Laced and Chain said, didn't they say well water would also be affected? Then yeah, exactly. Then you heard municipal water. Then you hear municipal water. Mary, the governor essentially refused to accept the federal help. Why? I don't know. And the first time that I heard him speak about this, it was like a 2-hour press conference. I listened to every bit of it. He said he had talked to the White House and they said, anything you need, let us know. Then days later, it comes out. Oh, we got some background noise. Then days later, it comes out that FEMA said it's not a disaster. But like Mary said, he has to declare it a disaster. Ava said, I'll be hosting a town hall meeting in East Palestine this Friday, the 24th at 6 p.m. to work. Will you send me a link to that, Ava? I'm going to leave that on the screen.
To February 6th when they lit it on fire, which, by the way, they dug a hole and put all the chemicals into that hole and lit it on fire. So two things happened at that moment. We have a toxic cloud full of chemicals that has fallen out a great distance. We still don't know what that exact distance is. And you've now contaminated the groundwater. And there's so much that has to be done, Natasha, before we're going to get true answers. We still don't see the raw data. We need to begin remediation. We have to set up monitors for where this groundwater plume will or won't move. We need to talk about soil vapor intrusion. There's a lot that has to come into play. And here they are, almost 3 weeks now, just starting to get them some FEMA help. And we still really don't have a lot of answers.
Yeah. Did officials let the residents go back to their homes too soon?
You know, there was a letter that came out from the U.S. EPA to Norfolk Southern Railroad, that was stating it was known that vinyl chloride, other chemicals were released, but the sentence goes on to say, and those chemicals continue to be released into the air, into the soil, and into the water. That I'm not sure why. Again, not seeing their raw data. What's your detection limit? What are you finding? What are you looking for? That gives you a real warm, fuzzy feeling that it's safe to return if it's ongoing.
And Erin, I want to watch this short clip with you quickly. This is News Nation's Rich McHugh showing what looks like a clear creek called Leslie Run, and we can actually start running this now. But watch him rake that stick through it. And you can see sort of these rainbows rise to the surface here. What do you see with your experience when you look at this video?
Well, there's a lot of things that could be going on there. One, we have to remember in this huge black cloud, there's going to be dioxin. So this soot, if you will, is going to fall out into the creeks, onto the rooftops, onto the cars, get in the attic dust, get in the household dust. It's going to be everywhere. Some of that could be that sediment that settled at the bottom. Some of it could be from the fallout of the VOCs. So without having a test, it appears that these things that have fallen out, a variety of chemicals, land on the water, and then can settle to the bottom. And so all of it's very concerning to these communities, and it should be. It's very concerning to the health and welfare of them and their children. They're very concerned for the future. They don't know what any of this means, and it's very concerning to the entire ecosystem. And listen, this could be something, a situation where Norfolk Southern Railroad made a bad situation 100 times worse that this community and the ecosystem could see the fallout of for decades.
And Rich also in his report speaking with a woman who is developing those rashes after showering. Now, Governor Mike DeWine and the EPA says the water is drinkable, the air is safe. Who should residents believe here? What should they be doing?
My first and foremost concern is these people. And in the absence of any other information, they are the very ones living there, breathing the air, exposed to the soils, and experiencing these symptoms. They have got to rely on their instincts. I have seen this over and over and over again play itself out through the United States. And it's the one thing that nobody wants to listen to. What is happening to the people? They need to be their own.
Look at this girl. Look at this girl. So when I get these comments that say it's not, look, when I see things, I have to say that I didn't really see anything too bad except for Stuck in Bama that talks about a diverse administration. Like that has anything to do with anything. They've got this and you're spreading misinformation. The girl on the screen, the burn on her face is real. The blisters on people's necks are real.
Yeah, I saw a man from the area talking about how his pregnant wife is going to give birth, like she's being induced soon. And he's like, I'm bringing a brand new baby home to this.
I wouldn't know, huh? What are they? Would you mix infant formula with that tap water?
No, but what are they supposed to do? That's the thing. They're not being given alternatives.
To stay at the hotel. That's all. That's the only alternative right now. That's it. I mean, they're not wandering around the streets. These people are all having to stay at hotels or they can go home. And if they go home, the governor is saying municipality water is fine now, but you might want to get bottled water. No, I'd stay at the hotel. Stay at the hotel.
Own citizen scientist, if you will. Nobody knows their health and their family better than they do. If you feel unsafe, leave. You need to wipe down the houses. You need to take protections. If you're not feeling well, go to the doctor. If you're evacuated and you don't want to come back, don't. Really stay in tune to your instincts. You are the ones breathing it and living in this moment. You have to trust and stand with what it is you're experiencing.
And our News Nation investigative reporter Rich McHugh again on the ground this week, and he was reporting that Norfolk Southern may have been going door to door in that community after the burn, asking residents to sign a form before they would check their house for toxins. What would your advice be surrounding signing any kind of paperwork from Norfolk Southern right now?
I wouldn't do that. And I've seen this happen in way too many communities. They know what's coming, and shame on them to try and take advantage of this community, because you don't know what you're signing. You may be signing all your rights away, and I absolutely would not do that.
Yeah, and I should mention Norfolk Southern saying that it was a mistake, that it was a mistaken batch of forms that went out. They say that no one has actually signed away their legal rights. But something that really struck me when we were talking last week, you shared that through all of the work that you have done after these disasters at toxic carcinogenic sites like Hinckley, California, you have personally dealt with health effects and constant monitoring now. What do you want people to know about these kinds of chemical disasters and how real these health effects can be?
They're definitely very real. This isn't we're not overreacting. I can just tell you from the past 30 years in my career, we have a deep systemic problem here, especially with our environmental issues, how we treat our land and our air and our water. And we've got this idea that if we just continue to kick the can down the line and ignore what many of these issues are, which is antiquated and failing infrastructure, antiquated and outdated policies, and not address it, we're just going to get further and further into trouble. This is real. This is happening. I've never experienced in my 30 years a situation like this Ohio trail derailment. We are going to watch this unfold, this environmental disaster in real time, live real time. And this isn't the first time it's happened. It has happened over and over again. And if we don't pivot and change our infrastructures, antiquated systems, and start protecting the environment, we're at a fork in the road. We're going to head the wrong way, and you can expect many more of these disasters.
And Erin, my very last question for you in just about 20 seconds. You are headed to East Palestine this week. What are you going to do to help the residents? What are you going to do on the ground?
So we're going to go out there and have a meeting, a town hall for them on Friday. We want to hear every question they have, and we're going to answer every question the best that we can. And if we can't, we're going to tell them we don't know, but we will find out. We will be there to answer any questions they have about health. We'll have doctors there, what their concerns are. They do want to know about their legal rights. We will give them all that information that they can utilize that will help them make the best decisions and choices for themselves, their family, and their health.
Do you have a message?
So we'll be out there next Friday.
Do you have a message for Norfolk Southern? Do you want them to show up to this town hall this time?
Classic, but you can't trust anything they say, period.
Well, she's right. When they were confronted about the Avon lady trick they pulled, going door to door with their cheap checks and their sign this. Oh, I don't know how those forms got out. We haven't used those in forever. What do you mean? Oh, that was a mistake.
Yeah. And, the initial payment offered to these people towards the beginning was supposed to be like $25,000 for the whole town, and that broke down to $5 a person, and people kind of got outraged. So then they were offering them, oh, here's $1,000 inconvenience payment, and it's just like people are like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You've destroyed an entire town. $5?
And even this like $1,200 that one dude got, that's not hush money. $1,200 won't make most people through the week. These people have families. What about the people that do business there? They have businesses. Are they going to buy their business and their potential earnings? I don't think so. I don't think so. It's beyond ridiculous.
And the agriculture down there, I mean, there are people that are, offering farmland to rehome this livestock. So the livestock that made it through initially might have a chance and not have to, stay down there in those conditions.
It's horrible. It's horrible. But a lot of people, they will take a quick buck and go away. If you're hungry enough, you'll take anything. And that's the wrong thing to do. You don't know. Nobody's ever been through anything before until they go through it.
Right.
And what they're going through in this town is horrible. Now, soon it's going to be the next town over, and the next town over, and the next town over, because, well, the river flows.
Keeps on moving.
Well, the river flows exactly this direction. This is where it's going. The river flows this way. Soon it's going to be in Cincinnati, Louisville, Evansville. Then it's going to go into the Mississippi River, and it's going to go all the way down to Louisiana, all the way down to the Gulf. So while, they might put a Band-Aid over the problems there, shit rolls downhill. We haven't even gotten to, like Mooney said, we haven't even gotten to the air problem. That's where you come in. You can't contain air. The wind blows. Let's see what Rowena says. Rowena, what's going on?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
You might not be able to hear me. Okay. Um, I'm livid. Everybody's livid, and the health problems are gonna last 20, 40, 60 years. Um, it's like I wrote in chat. Women are born with all their eggs. Men reproduce their sperm every 13 to 17 days. So, uh, a baby girl that's born today, yeah, or was born 2 weeks ago and was given a bath, and the mental health, the fear. I mean, my friend lives 55 miles away. She didn't have service. She was in Kentucky in the mountains, in the hills, and she didn't really know how bad it was. But when she got service, because I had texted and called, and her neighbors, they bought her water. She doesn't know if she's going to have water. I want her to come here, but that's a Band-Aid. And just like I said on the show before, I don't care what anybody says, go look it up. St. Jude, I'm telling y'all, Louisiana gets it. And this is going to be a problem. We're going to see things that we've never seen before. If y'all think COVID was bad and put a strain on our healthcare system, this is affecting our whole country. And people can say, "Well, I don't eat chicken. I don't eat beef. I don't drink milk." You drink water. You ha- water. You have to have water. Your body is mainly water. Your brain is mainly water. So when you don't have water and you're buying water and you can't afford water, but you're going out and buying it, and you just sip little bits of bottled water, people can get dehydrated. Mental health. Mental health is going to be huge. This affects our whole nation, our whole entire nation, and people need to rise up and demand and scream. This is not a political issue. This is a damn it, get your shit straight issue. And I'm
It's
pissed.
not a political issue, and people want to make
Mm-mm.
it that way.
They do.
The way it is a political issue, though, the way it
I,
is that and a lot of people don't vote. I hope
yeah,
they start now, because let me tell you what, the only way to get anything done is our politicians have to do it. I can't go to Washington D.C. and do it, but you have
right.
to hold these scum buckets accountable.
Exactly. Legislation is going to be the change for the future. But right now, we have to change F up system that we have. Something's got to give. It's scary. W- watch. I'm gonna tell you. You watch the suicide rate. Sorry, the you know what rate. It's gonna boom, 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 boom. Because I'm gonna tell you right now. And please don't. Well, I don't really care if anybody thinks I'm terrible, but I couldn't watch my child sit there and suffer. I couldn't watch my loved one sit there and suffer with blisters and crap like that. My friend that lives 55 miles south had no clue it was this bad. She's been gone for, I thought it was 4 days, but it's been 7 days. She had no clue. I heard it on the 3rd. I'm like, another train derailed. Another train, another train, another train. And my dad worked at DuPont. I mean,
That's all
crap.
they said. They said there was a train derailment. Well,
Yeah,
that's not going to part anyone's hair.
yeah.
That's not going to, the way that, the only reason that it even got my attention is because they said something about a news reporter was arrested. And I was like, for what? For covering a train derailment?
Yeah.
Then I start reading about it and I'm like, oh, it's much more than that. Look at what
Hmm.
these people have to say.
Scott Snyder. They both live on Ground Zero and are part of a lawsuit against Norfolk Southern alongside attorney Michael O'Shea. Scott, your thoughts on just this last week?
This last week has been chaos in East Palestine. Our town looked like a war zone for 5 days. And then we were told, you're good to go home. And everybody started to return home. And it kind of feels like a similar incident to 9/11 when people were told it was okay to go into places, resume work, clear rubble, and it wasn't okay for those people. And we're left with the same questions here. How do we know?
Amy, they're saying we're not allowed to speculate. You just got to trust the experts here. Did you read that Times piece?
I did read it, and I would encourage people to come here and see what we're living in. It's disastrous.
How close are you to the train right now?
Well, this is ground zero right behind. This is where I live.
Oh my gosh. And so they're actually still doing work behind you. Is that something that you can smell and feel constantly? Have you noticed any differences?
Oh yes, we can smell it. We can taste it. It's in our house. It's horrible.
We get smells all the time. They'll just pop up, and then sometimes they're really toxic smelling, chemical smelling. Sometimes it's a burn smell.
Yes.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Michael, we've heard a lot of stories about people waving pieces of paper before they go in to test these homes.
Okay, just a note here. When your attorney goes on national news with you, tell him neckties are 25 cents at the Salvation Army. Anyone can afford one.
I know you're representing these two people here. Where do we stand with this silly rail company? And do you think that they're going to do the right thing?
Well, Jesse, thank you first and foremost for talking to our clients and getting some real boots on the ground understanding of what these poor folks are going through. I mean, it's terrible. I was there on Wednesday. I was there the Wednesday before that. And you're right when using the analogy of Chernobyl and Ghost Town when I was there a week ago this past Wednesday. It was closed down. Nothing was happening. It was really eerie. You saw a lot of guys in fatigues and police uniforms and plows and blocking traffic and everything else like that. And it's a beautiful community. And it was striking to see what this train accident had done. Now, to answer your other question, do I expect Norfolk and Southern to do the right thing right away? No. And if they would, and if they always did, there wouldn't be people like me, would they? So we are working real hard. We've tried to communicate with them to try to get them to sign some documents that would make it clear that some of these folks that take this, what we've categorized as trickle money, won't take this as payment in full. Their lawyers called me up just a few days ago, said we're not going to sign that document. And that obviously set off some bells and alarms with us.
Oh, wow. So they're saying they're not signing anything. That's interesting.
But according to the railroad, and let's look again real quick. I'll put it back on the screen. BlackRock is one of the owners of Norfolk. And this is a little bit of their dabblings on the screen. They said, oh, I don't know how that got out. What forms? 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 Oh, that was a mistake. No, that wasn't a mistake.
This is going to get ugly. Alan Shaw needs to step up to the plate. We need to see his face. And if we don't see his face, I think he needs to testify under oath in front of Congress. And I might have to pay him a visit. Thank you guys very much. Listen, Mike, thanks for representing these wonderful people. Amy and Scott, please be safe. Our hearts are with you. And let us know if there's anything more we can do.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Now, the attorney needs a necktie. He needs to make it. I mean, I understand he's trying to look like he's working hard. You can work hard and wear a snazzy outfit. Okay, you can. I don't even know what else to say. I really don't.
I don't really either.
Mercy, will you keep in touch with Brooks and let her know where we can send you things and everybody that is part of this family? If you know people that need, let Brooks know. Put it in Discord, and we can help. I'll help.
Okay. Yeah. People online on my TikToks have been asking, can we help you get out of there? Can we send you water? I'm not kidding. Up here in the Cleveland area, people are acting like nothing is happening. I am one of the few people that have taken precautions with water. So when it comes to help, I look at it as I'm okay. Focus on East Palestine. But yeah, if when I hear of people that are, in dire like need of I need to leave, I need this, I need that, yeah, I will definitely pass that info on.
Please do. Please keep in touch because and I'm going to keep covering it on this channel so that way it doesn't confuse anybody on the other channel. Anyway, just a thought of mine. Anyway, so make sure that you check back in here because I'm going to put things on the community tab and stuff like that so we can all stay on the same wavelength.
Okay.
Thank you for coming up, Mercy.
No problem. Thank you for listening to my point of view. Like I said, it's apocalypse down there, and up here, it's like the world's just going on like nothing ever happened, and it is so weird.
I think that they kind of want it that way, my friend.
I know. And it's weird being one of the only people talking about this because you're sort of afraid they're going to come take you away. Ha ha, ho ho, hee hee, But yeah, I think, more people need to be speaking out about this and more people need to get involved and help because this is not just a tiny town in Ohio that does not matter. This is going to affect this entire country down the line.
Well, make sure you share this live with the people that you're talking to because they need to hear what you're saying from being there.
Okay, will do.
All right. Stay in touch, okay? You've got my email.
Yep, thank you.
All right, Rowena, before we go out, it is President's Day. Did you know that, Rowena? We lost Rowena. It is President's Day. So I just thought with everything we have going on, I'm going to play a speech by a president who probably would have started a war with his own people for letting this go on. And that is Teddy Roosevelt.
The poorest way to face life is to face it with a sneer. There are many men who feel a kind of twisted pride and cynicism. There are many who confine themselves to criticism of the way others do what they themselves dare not even attempt. There is no more unhealthy being, no man less worthy of respect than he who either really holds or feigns to hold an attitude of sneering disbelief toward all that is great and lofty, whether in achievement or in that noble effort which, even if it fails, comes to second achievement. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again. Because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.
Oh man, this is horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. And it's not going to get any better anytime soon. It's not. If I was someone affected by this, I wouldn't leave the hotel. I wouldn't even think about it. No way. No way would I go back and start scrubbing stuff with Dawn dish soap and buying bottled water. Forget it. No. I'd be like, you clean my house. You put the bottled water in there. And when I see a test come out of my tap that looks like something that wouldn't kill my goldfish, then I'll consider coming back. But until then, we got a problem and I'm staying at the hotel. Absolutely insane. Mary, if you want to come into Discord, send me an email and I'll give you the Discord link. I certainly will. We can continue this discussion. We're going to continue this discussion, I have a feeling, for quite a while. Quite a while. Quite some time. In the meantime, take this link and share it in your socials if you don't mind, because we got to get this out here. We do. They're trying to kill this story. They're trying to kill it. If it wasn't for the Chinese balloon, we would have known about it much earlier. That is for sure. But thank you for coming to the very first show on this channel. Monumental, isn't it? All right, guys, I'll see you over in Discord, or I'll see you in one of the Facebook groups. If I don't see you over there, then I'll see you on the other channel, Crime Lines and Lies, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Central. You guys are the best. Thank you for doing this. This is big, big, big stuff.